I once traveled to a monastery hidden deep in the mountains. I was burnt out, physically, emotionally, spiritually. My spirit felt utterly depleted. I had read every self-help book I could find. I watched hundreds of hours of motivational videos, yet I still felt lost, adrift in a sea of information. This continued until I met a monk, a man who never uttered a single word. We live in a world full of relentless noise. Notifications constantly demand our attention. Goals, pressures, and endless opinions bombard us daily. We wake up and immediately scroll. We sleep and scroll again. In that endless stream, we often lose the one voice that truly matters. That voice is our own inner wisdom. That's exactly how I felt when I arrived at the monastery. I was desperately seeking answers. I craved clarity, a path forward. I expected profound wisdom from the mouths of the enlightened. But this monk, the one I observed most closely, he didn't speak, not once during my entire stay. I watched him for days, observing his every move. He swept the monastery floors with quiet diligence. He fed the stray dogs with gentle hands. He chanted with his eyes closed, a picture of serene focus. He smiled genuinely when others smiled, a silent acknowledgement. He noticed things others often missed: a tiny flower blooming in a crack, a subtle flaw in an ancient wall, a fly struggling in a bowl of water. At first, I felt a deep frustration. I had traveled so far, seeking profound answers. All I seemed to receive was silence. But one morning, as I sat across from him watching him sip his tea, something shifted within me. He looked at me directly. His gaze held no judgment, no pity. It was simply pure awareness. In that profound moment, a realization dawned. He saw me fully and completely, and perhaps for the very first time, I truly saw myself. Silence isn't an empty void. It is, in fact, full of answers. In the days that followed, I stopped asking questions. Instead, I started to listen, not to words, but to the rhythm of my own breath. I listened to the sounds of nature surrounding me. I listened to the steady beat of my own heart. I realized how deeply afraid I had become of silence. I constantly filled it with distractions, fearing what I might hear in the stillness. But the monk, he lived entirely within that silence, and in that profound stillness he was utterly free. The more time I spent immersed in silence, the more I understood truths. These were truths no book could ever fully articulate. I learned that peace isn't something you chase relentlessly. It's something you stop running from, allowing it to settle within you. I understood that presence, being fully here and now, is far more powerful than any words. Most of our suffering, I realize, comes not from the world itself. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves about it. The monk never offered me a single piece of advice, but he gave me something far greater, a mirror. Through that mirror, I finally met myself. When I eventually left the monastery, I felt profoundly lighter, not because my external life had changed in any way. It was because I had changed. Something fundamental within me had shifted. The noise of the world returned, the traffic, the emails, the demanding schedules. Yet something inside me remained still, a quiet, unwavering center. In moments when I feel lost again, I remember the monk. I recall his silence, his stillness, his profound presence. He never spoke a word, but he taught me the most important lesson of all. Real wisdom doesn't shout for attention, it whispers softly. And if you are willing to listen, truly listen, you will hear everything you've been seeking. It was always, always within you.